Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale, up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Limited time. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Got a lot to do over the next hour. We'll talk to Sharief Ishaq coming up in 30 minutes on the black and gold. We've been touring LSU's schedule thus far as we get ready for the season opener of college football. It's time now to head to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and check in on the Crimson Tide. To do that, we bring in Mike Rodak from Bama 24/7, joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Mike, we appreciate a little bit of time. How are you?
Doing pretty well.
So I'm curious, before we kind of get into this team, what are the vibes like in Tuscaloosa after a year post-Saban? Obviously disappointing year last year, but is the confidence level still very high there?
Yeah, I mean, it was high last year. I think a lot of people were, obviously hopeful that things wouldn't skip a beat, and I think they felt confirmed, when you won the Georgia game, and then everything kind of fell apart after that, the Vandy and Tennessee and obviously the Oklahoma games, and people were kind of wondering, like, what's going wrong with this team? And there's, little things that came out here and there about, players being late for meetings and not being enough focus and discipline and all that. And so you kind of turn the page to this year, and they really tried to send a message to players in the offseason, like, you got to tighten that stuff up. And if, you're not going to do it, then you're not going to be here. So, I think a renewed focus, there's the idea of like players being bought more into Kalen DeBoer. This is more Kalen DeBoer's roster. I think that's true to an extent. There's still a decent amount of players that were recruited by Nick Saban. But yeah, I think there's more positive vibes, obviously more hopeful vibes that a second year in the program and, the word continuity comes up a whole lot, can yield better results. But, it's still, you got to prove it on the field. And I think that's obviously going to be really soon here when we're going to see that.
How big a deal is the offensive coordinator change and reuniting Kalen DeBoer with a guy that he's been with before?
Yeah, I mean, they were one of the best offenses in the country at Washington for 2 years there. I mean, they, yardage-wise, were right there, and obviously they threw the ball a ton with Michael Penix and the receivers that they had. And I think there was, again, optimism last year that could be replicated, that there was going to be a new version of Jalen Milroe who could do what Michael Penix did. And you had Ryan Williams, you had Jeremy Bernard, you had some talent at receiver last year. It just never really came together, and it probably got worse as the season went on, to be honest. So now you bring back Ryan Grubb, who spent the year, last year with the Seahawks, that in the end didn't really work out for him, and maybe that unlocks whatever they couldn't do last year. And you have a quarterback change as well. And I think, you're going to see an offense that tries to throw the ball more, obviously less oriented around the quarterback run as it was with Milroe last year. They're probably deeper at receiver, especially bringing in Isaiah Horton, who was a pretty productive player last year in Miami with Cam Ward. And, if they can block for him, if they can have a running game that sets up the passing game, then, there's a pretty high ceiling for this group. But again, a new starting quarterback, you just lost your starting running back for a few games, and we'll have to see how that comes together.
I want to talk about both of those situations. We'll start with quarterback. Ty Simpson wins that job. How close was the competition with Keelan Russell, and what do you expect to see from Ty Simpson in that role?
Yeah, it always felt like it was Ty's job to lose, and, I don't think anybody was really surprised when it actually happened. I think they wanted to keep the door open, for Keelan coming in as a freshman, and he's the highest-rated recruit to come to Alabama in the history of 24/7 Sports' database. So he's a elite talent, as Kalen DeBoer likes to say, and he's been here now since January. So it's not like, the freshman of old where you're just not going to start him at all. I think there was legitimately a chance given to see what he could do in fall camp, and see what Austin Mack could do, who's the quarterback who followed DeBoer from Washington, a big 6'6" kid. And at the end of the day, like, Ty just showed to be the steadiest, most reliable player. And I think the ceiling for Keelan Russell is obviously higher, for Ty. And maybe there's a point, if it doesn't work out for Ty in the middle of the year, where you can make a change. But for right now, I mean, they're with Ty, and I think there's a lot of optimism on what he can do, because himself, he was a 5-star prospect 4 years ago, and I don't know if he's ever completely shown that in practice to get himself on the field to win a competition against Jalen Milroe. But if he can, avoid the turnovers that kind of plagued Milroe by the end of last year, if he can get the ball to those receivers, which just could be the best receiving group in the country, then he'll be in a pretty good spot. And I think he's also a guy that likes to kind of run around and make plays too. So we'll have to see how he strikes that balance between trying to be that playmaker at quarterback, but also trying to be that point guard who just gets the ball to the people around him.
Is there a thought that Russell could have some sort of package early in the season to get him on the field?
I don't think so. I think the vibes right now, and it's not official yet, I think technically they're still keeping the job open. The number 2 job, I think, is pretty strongly leaning towards Austin Mack. Okay. And so Keelan's probably going to start the year as number 3. And, he's athletic, but I don't think he's a run-first quarterback. He's a guy who can really sling the ball. He's got an arm. And I think when he does become the Alabama starting quarterback, he's got some potential to put up some really big passing numbers. So, if you had a Jalen Milroe, type in your room, I think maybe you could try to do a package like that. But I think it's going to be Ty Simpson 99% of the time.
Talking to Mike Rodak, Bama 24/7, talking about the Crimson Tide, year 2 under Kalen DeBoer. You mentioned the injury to Jam Miller. We're now reading from you all that it's a collarbone issue. What can you tell us about that, and some sort of timetable that they would like to get him back?
Yeah, he actually spoke at an event today, and he confirmed that he dislocated his collarbone, and which is tough for a running back. You think about leading, with your shoulder pads and banging into people. That's I'm sure a painful one, and you have to see kind of how he does when he gets back. But he did say that he didn't need surgery, and they popped it back into place, and that he thinks he'll be back fast was the word that he used. So, right now, I think the general expectation is probably the Georgia game, which is September 27th, because he's out for the Florida State game next week. We know that. There's no way Alabama would play him against Louisiana Monroe. I don't think if that makes sense. And then, maybe if there's an early timetable, it's the Wisconsin game. But if you hold him out of the Wisconsin game, then you have the bye week after going into the Georgia game. And I think they'll probably use that. So it's a blow. There's a lot of unproven guys behind him that don't have a ton of experience. And I think we talked to Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, today. You could tell there's a little bit of, I don't want to say frustration, but like he's got to figure out what they can do in that room without him. And it's going to be important in those 3 games. You're going on the road to Florida State. That's not a gimme. And, you're hosting Wisconsin, which is not a gimme either. To open up that passing game like they want to do, they still need a strong running game. And we'll have to see how that works without Jam.
Let's talk about the defense. Obviously, Alabama's had just an assembly line of NFL players there for almost 2 decades. What can you say the strength of this Alabama defense should be?
Yeah, it's really the back end, which is funny because a year ago that was a complete question mark. They had a lot of guys leave through the portal a year ago. And, one of the last moves that Nick Saban made before he retired was bringing in Damani Jackson, the former 5-star, top 10 sort of prospect who went to USC for a couple of years. Well, he came to Alabama, became a starter last year, and he's got all the potential to be one of the top corners in the country. And across from him is Xavier Brown, who's also a 5-star kid from Southern California, who did a great job last year. And you have Keon Sabb coming back as a safety, who's a really smart safety from transfer from Michigan last year. And, Bray Hubbard, as well from Pascagoula. And it's a strong secondary. And it's a defense that has a lot of veteran players back. There was a good number of players who decided to not go into the draft, and they wanted to come back for a 5th year, 4th year, whatever it was, and try to win, more than what they won last year. Deontay Lawson coming back at middle linebacker from injury. So very veteran defense. It's one that I think needs to have a better pass rush than last year. They were not particularly strong in that area. LT Overton is probably their best pass rusher. He only had 2 sacks last year. So that's probably the biggest question mark. But the secondary can be a real strength of this team, and they're deep. I mean, they got layers of 5-star kids at corner especially. So think of the LSU game last year. They really shut down Garrett Nussmeier. I think they can do that again this year.
What is your sense of how this season goes in Tuscaloosa? I realize I could ask you what's the expectation. The expectations there is going to be to make the playoff and make a push at this thing. What is your sense of how this team looks through the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can really be strong at home like they were last year. I think the LSU game at home, the Tennessee game at home, those should be games that they win. I think the season's we're gonna find out really soon though what they can do on the road. When you talk about opening at Florida State, which is something Alabama's not done in 25 years, and with opening with the road game, and then having to go to Georgia, before the end of September, those two games we're going to find out real quick, kind of what the direction of the season is. And if they win both of them, like they did last year, it was a pretty strong September. I think people will feel pretty good, but you still need to take care of business and not have just the mind-boggling mistakes and slip-ups like they had last year at Vandy, like they had last year going to Oklahoma, even like they had in the bowl game against Michigan. Michigan was missing tons of players, and they still lost to them. So it was a hard team to explain last year. If you can kind of clean that up and become a little bit more consistent this year, they should be a playoff team. They should be a team that's probably pushing to be at least in the semifinals. But I don't know. It's an interesting time in Tuscaloosa. It's not like it was 5-6 years ago where, you're booking your flights to, the playoff games or whatever it is. You're already thinking ahead. Like you kind of have to go week by week now, covering the team, and it starts with next week in Tallahassee. That is not a gimme, and we'll have to see what Gus Malzahn has up his sleeve, because I know Alabama fans kind of have bad memories of him at Auburn, at least from a couple of those games.
No question about it. We'll certainly be watching LSU and Clemson, the nightcap on next Saturday. Mike, we appreciate some time. Enjoy the football.
Will do. Thank you.
He's Mike Rodak from Bama 247. It's interesting because I believe in the Alabama roster. I think that their wide receiver core is obviously loaded. He talked about the defensive backs and how good they're going to be. Pass rush is a bit of a concern with everybody who covers Alabama, but it feels like they've got dudes on the defensive front. The question is Ty Simpson like really, really good, or is he just really, really mediocre? And if he's really, really, really mediocre, which is a possibility, like you can't win at the highest level. You cannot camouflage a quarterback this day and age, I don't think. You could 15 years ago with just a world-class defense. I don't think it's possible anymore. I think you have to be able to go out there and score. And I'm not telling you that I think Ty Simpson's wildly mediocre. I don't know. He might be. He's a 5-star recruit. He's been in the program 4 years. He might be the first-team all-league quarterback this year. And if he is, Bama's going to win the league, and they're going to potentially win a national championship. But the possibility is there that he's just not it. And if you've got to dip back into your quarterback bag, that's bad. So that's going to be the big issue for Alabama. I'm curious to see kind of how it works out. So that's your look at the Crimson Tide at this point in the calendar. Alabama and Florida State coming at you next weekend. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, we'll find something to talk about. I think it's LSU football, but I'll have to look in the break. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Always love telling you about my friend Daryl May, who is looking to help you. He's looking to help you find some land outside the city. If you're looking for acreage, whether that's 30 acres, 300 acres, 500 acres, you can find it with Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Now, Daryl grew up in Baton Rouge. He's a proud Catholic high, an LSU grad, and he's built his life now in St. Francisville. Before he's a realtor, he was a builder, so he knows homes from the ground up. So whether you're buying, selling, exploring options, Daryl is here to help you. So call him with Trusty Properties. He's got local roots, honest advice, and the experience you can trust in West Felicia. And, of course, I got to give you Daryl's number. If you're looking for land and you want to check in with Daryl, you can do so at 225-268-6915. Again, that's 225-268-6915. Mississippi, license there. Woodville, Natchez, anywhere up there if you're looking for hunting land. Of course, right here in the Felicianas, Point Capee, wherever you may find some land here in our great state, Daryl May can help you with Trusty Properties, a name you can trust.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
If you heard my tease there, if you want to call it that, in the last segment, I didn't really tell you what we were going to talk about because I didn't want to pull up my document that had the next segment schedule because I was watching the Cubs game and the Cubs hit a 3-run home run. So it was a rare moment of extreme joy for me in the last 6 weeks of Cubs baseball. But once that 3-run homer was over, I did go back to the doc, and we do have a segment planned here. So let's get into it. John Summerall, Tulane's head coach, was holding a press conference. I believe it was today. I got this video from Garland Gillen, who down there in New Orleans, who posted this on his Twitter feed. And somehow or another, LSU came up. I don't know if John Summerall was asked about it. I don't know if he brought it up. I don't really care. It's not really the point. But this is what he had to say about Tulane and LSU playing one another. And I'll have some comments on LSU and Tulane after we hear from John Summerall.
They're LSU. I mean, they're, it's kind of a known brand. They're ranked in the top 10 this year, I think, already before the season. It's 2 hours away, or hour and 45 minutes away. I don't have to get on a plane. There's a ton of, there would be a sellout crowd wherever it was played. Not that there won't be a sellout crowd, but I think, like last year we played Kansas State here at home, and this year we played Northwestern, and last year they played, I think, UCLA or somebody. I think Tulane at LSU would get a better crowd than UCLA at LSU. And so I don't know. I'm a proponent of that forever. When I was at Troy, I wanted to play. I thought it'd be great for us and for the other schools to play Alabama and Auburn. Like, I just think it makes sense. Ohio State does it. They play everybody in the state, I think. I don't know. I mean, it seems like they do. And it makes too much sense to me. Look, I have a ton of respect for LSU. They are, I mean, some people might think I'm stupid for even bringing up why should we play them, because they're really, really talented. I mean, they got like a team full of 5-stars. I mean, I've been over there. I respect Brian Kelly. Got friends on that staff. I just think it's good for the state of Louisiana. It'd be good for college football.
Okay. So that is John Summerall talking about LSU and Tulane. I want to mention a couple things. There are a couple different ways I want to go with this. As far as LSU and Tulane drawing a much better crowd than UCLA, or Tulane and LSU definitely selling out either place, I have no doubt LSU and Tulane can sell out Yulman. It seats like 11. I don't think LSU and Tulane would sell out Tiger Stadium in September. That's just my hunch. Tulane doesn't have any fans. And certainly they're not going to make an impact inside Tiger Stadium, where they don't often sell out Tiger Stadium. It's a big place. And if you're not perfect weather with a monster opponent and, LSU's really good, like it's hard to do. So I'm not blaming him for saying that. Like, he doesn't know anything about LSU and selling tickets and whatnot. He's speaking for Tulane. And it certainly would be great for Tulane to play LSU, because you play in one of the great environments in college football, and you got an opportunity to spring a big upset, and you get onto the SEC network or maybe ESPN, and like, that's all great for Tulane, certainly. And Tulane has done a really good job at building its football program over the last 5-6 years. I think that they hired Willie Fritz, which is a great hire. I think that John Summerall is a great hire. And I also think that pairing those with the building of Yulman Uptown has been great for Tulane. Playing in an empty Superdome is terrible. Building a nice, intimate Uptown stadium where a lot of people can walk to Yulman and will. Like, I've got friends who don't like Tulane at all, don't care about Tulane at all, but they'll bring their 8-year-old to Yulman because they can watch a game pretty close to the field. You can get a beer and you can get the kids popcorn and you can watch a college football game and you don't have to fight massive traffic leaving. And what they've built over there is absolutely respectable. And they went to a Cotton Bowl, and that's awesome. And they've done a great job at Tulane. LSU gets nothing out of playing Tulane. Nothing. The state of Louisiana, to me, gets very little out of LSU playing Tulane. Certainly you keep some things in state, and I think that's why LSU's playing Louisiana Tech and Southeastern this year, and they played Nichols last year, and they played Grambling and Tulane, Grambling and Southern, and they played McNeese, and if they play Tulane, that's fine. But to act like it would be some sort of big boon to the college football world or to the state of Louisiana, as if Tulane and LSU can rekindle some sort of rivalry that I think died in the 50s, I think we're probably overshooting things a little bit there. Let's not try to overstate what could be. And this goes back to a point I've made a couple times during talking season with coaches at microphones. Their job is not to necessarily speak the truth in front of those microphones. Their job is to speak to their benefit, to their program's benefit, to say things. This is conference commissioners, it's head coaches, athletic directors. Do things and say things that elevate your platform, elevate your brand, and benefit your situation. And certainly John Summerall coming out and saying, yeah, we want to play LSU. Like, we want to do that. That benefits Tulane, because then all of a sudden you can turn that around. Why won't LSU play Tulane? Well, LSU played Tulane in 2009. LSU played Tulane in 2007, went to New Orleans to do that, did some Katrina fundraising in that game. But let's not make this more than it is. LSU doesn't really get anything out of its non-conference outside of the one power conference team they play. And you look at the American, and it's just a different world. Like, Charlotte is not a big rival of North Carolina. East Carolina is not a big rival of NC State. UAB not playing for keeps against Auburn. Temple and Penn State don't really go at it, right? That it's just a different world. And while Tulane would have an opportunity to spring an upset and get the opportunity to be on national television, LSU is just writing another check. So this is not a situation where LSU is sort of terrified of playing Tulane. It's not a situation where LSU is depriving Tulane of something. It's not a situation where LSU is avoiding things, and it's not taking away from the state or the sport. And it doesn't make too much sense, I use air quotes, for LSU to play Tulane. If LSU wants to put Tulane on the schedule, fine. If they want to put Rice on the schedule, fine. They want to put Troy on the schedule, well, that's gone. Fine. But I think this is just a nothing burger as far as a story to me. Again, Tulane has elevated itself and done a great job hiring two coaches and building a facility that makes a ton of sense, and they've won a lot of games. And it's great for them that Ole Miss went there, and it's great for them that Kansas State's gone there, and it's great for them that Northwestern will go there, and all that's fine and dandy. LSU's got 8 SEC games that are always going to dictate how their season goes. You've heard my song and dance about going and playing Clemson on the road in week 1 and how I don't think that's a super awesome idea. Trust me, I'd much rather play Tulane in Tiger Stadium in week 1 than go on the road to play Clemson. I think it just makes more sense in terms of trying to win a national championship. But this is just John Summerall a little bit talking about things he doesn't know much about when it comes to LSU selling tickets. And I think when it comes to what kind of draw Tulane is from a perspective of television and perspective of getting in people inside the stadium. And I think that it's basically a nothing burger as far as a story goes. But it's another coach talking about LSU in the state, and I thought it would be reasonable for me to address things here. I'll ask Sharief about it in the next segment. He's coming up, and he's certainly down there, boots on the ground in New Orleans, and I'll get his thoughts on whether or not he'd like to see that game. My gut says, as a New Orleans guy, and the New Orleans media covers Tulane, they would like to see that because it's interesting to their viewership. But we'll see. I don't have a ton of interest in it or a ton of care either way. LSU puts Tulane on the schedule for next year, fine. Same thing as Louisiana Tech to me. They don't, whatever. Life will go on in Baton Rouge. All right, let's chug right along here on this Tuesday edition of Hunt Palmer Show. We will chat with Sharief Ishaq coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car on the lot online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. You know, one of the things that is a drag in this part of the world when you purchase a new vehicle, you got to get all the bells and whistles tested out, right? You got to see how everything works. You got to see all the features, whether safety or just entertainment. And then you get one of the salespeople at the dealership to go through that with you. And generally speaking, that's on the lot where it's 105 and the blacktop's baking and it's really hot and you're walking around and it's just a miserable experience in July or August. That doesn't happen at Genesis Baton Rouge because they consider that when they put their facility together. And so they've got a climate control room. And so when you purchase a new Genesis and you're going through all the safety features and all the entertainment options, you pull into the climate controlled area so you got air conditioning. You can walk around, keep the doors open. It's lovely. I had an opportunity to do that a couple of weeks ago over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. This is the kind of customer service, this is the kind of attention to detail that they've got in everything that they do. Their brand ambassadors are phenomenal. The people that you work with there are fantastic. The line of vehicles is excellent. And the odds are you haven't gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis because it's fairly new to the game. So the next time that you're in the market for a new vehicle, that may be today, that may be in 2 years. Depends on your timeline there. Just give Genesis a look. Check out the inventory at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Brought to you on Tuesdays by Daryl May of Trusty Properties, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi, looking for acreage. Trusty Properties is the name you can trust. Daryl May brings you our Tuesday shows. Sharief Ishaq, always part of those Tuesday shows. Bring him in from New Orleans. Sharief, how we doing, sir?
Doing well, man. Training camp wrapping up here, and then one more preseason game.
It is one more preseason game. What'd you see in this one in the Dome that you liked?
Well, that's a tough question to answer.
That was super optimistic.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling everybody, it's so hard to evaluate and judge whenever you don't have, like, I know a lot of teams are doing it. You don't have all your, like, weapons out there, your starters on defense, because the defense looks horrible. And that's backups and, you know, second and third string. But those guys are trying to make the team, too, because you have to rely on backups because, as you know, with the Saints, injuries are always going to happen. Offense, with Tyler Sharief, it was okay. I mean, that first drive was awful. I just didn't – the grounding, the sack. I mean, I think the sack was on the running back. The grounding, he probably could have gotten the ball out quicker whenever he was flushed. I'm going to go with the negatives first, and I'm going to get to the positives. Interception by Spencer Rattler. I didn't think it was necessarily his fault. Mason Tipton took the blame because he didn't run through the whole route on the slant route. He could have avoided that from happening. Bad tackling. Positive, I would say that 2-minute drive, I thought Spencer Rattler was composed, made some good decisions. Yes, I get it. It was against the backups, just the same exact way the 2-minute drive that Ishaq had against the Chargers against backups. I thought he looked good there. I thought he had 3 scoring drives. I thought he, for the most part, looked solid, minus that interception, which kind of wasn't his fault. And Mason Tipton, man. Mason Tipton continues to shine. Jonas Stanker, Jalen Ford. And, you know, it's just there's some bright spots from that game. Unfortunately, it's not from any of the starters because they don't really play in the game.
Well, obviously, you couldn't wait to get to the negatives. You want to harp on some of those after we've hit a few high notes there?
I feel like I hit the negatives more than high notes. Yeah, sure. Just, you know, whatever you want to talk about, Hunt. I mean, I'm an open book when it comes to the preseason.
Look, let's talk about Ishaq in the start. You mentioned the first 2 drives, which were not good. You had the sack, the grounding, and then the 3 and out. But I thought that he looked pretty capable on the big play, and I thought that outside of an Olave drop, like, it was okay after that. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, you know, that was the 3rd drive when he connected with Welsh down the sideline. I thought it was a beautiful pass, even beautiful, you know, a much better catch. But that was just spot-on throws. That was an NFL throw to Welsh. But then, yeah, he was clicking on that drive. He was hitting with Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave. Yeah, Olave didn't do him any favors on 3rd down. He was wide open near the 15-yard line. But by far his best drive. Might be comparable to that 2-minute drive that he had against the Chargers. I thought he was like just in rhythm. I feel like he was just clicking with his guys on offense. The offensive line was blocking much better. So yeah, I take that as a positive for sure when it comes to Tyler Sharief.
So on the morning show this morning, Nick Underhill suggested he felt like the Saints really wanted Ishaq to win the job. That's why they put him out there with Olave and Shaheed, and you didn't see that opportunity afforded to Spencer Rattler in the first game. And he just feels like they're leaning at that direction. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, they're trying their best. They're opening the playbook up for him. They're doing a little bit more, but it just seems like he doesn't want to take grasp of this and take charge of this quarterback competition. And then be fair with you, Hunt, neither guy with each start was taking, you know, the charge of becoming the starting quarterback. They both did a better job as backups in these 2 games. And that's worrisome. For sure, that's 100% worrisome that no guy as a starting quarterback is taking hold of becoming the quarterback of this team week 1. And, man, like the way we look at it, I feel like both of these guys are just backup quarterbacks that are still learning this offense and trying to become a starting quarterback. To me, they're just backup quarterbacks in the league. And I know that's tough to say and it's harsh when it comes to Tyler Sharief because he was just drafted. And maybe he does become better. I think the potential's there. But, man, it feels like you're just rolling the dice with backup quarterbacks right now.
Let's get into the mind of Kellen Moore here, if you could. Like, do you think the decision is going to be made based on who gives the Saints the best chance over the next 3 years? Do you think it's going to be made based on who gives the Saints the best chance in the first game of the season? Do you think it's going to be made with an eye on protecting Shuck if they don't think he's ready and they'd rather just throw Rattler into that difficult start to the season? Like, what ultimately do you think is going to make this decision for them?
It's such a loaded and good question because I'm going back and forth how they like what Kellen is thinking about. I'm thinking he's probably thinking about, hey, what can we do to win a little now and protect his confidence? And that would be Tyler Shuck. I think if they're both equal, Hunt, just throw Tyler Shuck out there. You drafted him 40th overall. Just see what he has. It doesn't, to me, it does not matter. If things go sideways, it goes sideways. You're picking in the top 3, and you might have a chance to draft the quarterback in next year's draft. Just see what he has. Because if you're just running with Rattler, then why did you draft him 40th overall? Even if you play him in weeks 11 and 12, 13, whatever, after week 8 or 9, whatever, don't roll with him now. Just let him build his confidence. Let him go through all the tough, hard games and make it, like, manageable for him to start the season. Look, I get those first 4 games are tough, but build it around him. Let him gain his confidence a little bit. I'd much rather roll with him. That's what if I were Kellen Moore, I was thinking, this is my guy. I handpicked him. I drafted him. I want to build around him. I want to make sure that he is week 1 starter, and we build around him and make sure that his confidence builds throughout the season and make it where this offense works for him. Don't rattle him at all. So, you're going to have Kamara. You're going to have the other people, the offensive line around him. So they could possibly build it around him. That's the way I would be thinking if I'm Kellen Moore.
How big an impact do you think Eric McCoy has when they let him play as opposed to putting a rookie out there?
You saw what happened last year whenever he left that Eagles game.
I did.
Things went upside down, and the offensive line could not manage things without him. So he is the most valuable player in that offensive line. I know you want to say left tackle, right tackle, but Eric McCoy, without him, it is tough without him snapping, without him making the calls, the blitz pickups. He is the most important player on that offensive line to me, and I think that it cannot afford to lose him. They cannot afford to lose him for any game, but if they are, they'll lose him. It can't be more than a game. It's just, it goes sideways and ugly so quickly without him on the field.
Has Kendre Miller shown you anything?
He showed me some strength and fight. I mean, there were a couple of plays where he's hitting the backfield and he fought it off. I mean, the offensive line was sloppy, and it was so hard to have like sustained running in the first half of him back there. I thought he was able to escape some of the bad blocking and turn negatives into 1 yard, 2 yards, anything better than -3, -4, -5. I mean, he's showing that he's healthy, but I just need to see more when the lights come on for real. I think he's going to be on the team. I just need to see more from him whenever Albin's off the field when the season kicks off. But yeah, once again, the P word, the potential is there with him. Let's see if he can translate it when it matters the most.
Is Mason Tipton going to be on the team?
I think, look, he's better this offseason in these preseason games than I thought he was last year at this time. I think he's running the route tree much better. He's playing with confidence. He's a mini Lance Moore. That's exactly what he is. He's mini Lance. I mean, they're from both of them from Ohio. Lance is from Toledo. He's from Akron, and they feel like they're running the same type of routes. Both guys, good hands. Look, he's making plays happen down the field too, so it doesn't hurt to have that. The only thing that little knock on him is that all the other 3 receivers ahead of him, Rashid, Brandon, and Chris, are pretty much the same size. Yeah. They need a big body receiver at some point in time. Whenever the cuts happen, they need to go find him a receiver. But I would put him on I truly would put him on that 53-man roster because he has shown more this offseason than he did last year offseason.
Do you have a favorite young defensive player that you've seen in camp or in the preseason games?
I'm going to stay away from like the Kool-Aid McKinstry because I thought he's done really well. I want to go to Quincy Riley. I like what I've seen from Quincy Riley. I really have liked what I've seen from him, and that's a guy they're going to have to rely on quite a bit. I think because how long is Alontae Taylor out with a groin injury? Who knows? Because that means he's going to have to step in. He and Isaac are going to have to play. So that means Quincy. It's going to be Quincy time. I like what he's done so far. And Jonas Banker showed a good bit this past Sunday in that game. I thought his tackling was the best for anyone on the defense. His tackling, he had a nice interception thanks to the deflection by Rajon Wright. So I think Stanker and Riley, they're the 2 guys that I like in that defense.
How about Danny Stutzman? What can you say about him?
Dude is like he reminds me of the program. Is it Luderman? Latterman? It reminds me of him. Every time I watch him play, I'm like, he's dressed like he looks the part. I'm like, I just want to know where he's going to fit in on the defense. Is he just going to be like spot player, special teams player? Because the two guys are DeMario and Pete. And then how's he get on the field outside of like an injury? So I think he gets spot play. But yeah, he's done well. He's done well too. I mean, those are your three. You know, you feel like you hit really well on those three guys, and I think the future is bright when you talk about those. You know, Danny, Quincy, as well as Jonas. So yeah, you know, Danny's a guy that I think will contribute at least to start on special teams.
How do you feel like they'll handle the quarterbacks this weekend? Do you think we'll see them? Do you think Jake Haener gets extended run? It's a unique situation the Saints are in because you're still looking at things. Most teams are very much decided in that way. How do you think they handle that?
Well, I want to say, first of all, I think they're handling this week like a regular season practice, all three of them, because we're only allowed to shoot 5 minutes. It's like stretching, watch 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm wondering if they name the quarterback here before the game at some point this week, unless he's like, I haven't seen enough, and I want to run them out there one more game. Maybe that is the case. I told you last week they didn't have a good game. They're going to just run it back and go one more week. But do they name the starter this week, Hunt, and get more reps with the first team just so they can have that extra week and don't play that starter? To me, I think you run it back one more week. Let's go one more week, get one more game, and see who's the best. And you name the guy, whatever, next week or the week leading into the game. But I feel like time is ticking, and you got to name a starter at some point in time. Everybody else is doing it.
We shall see. Saints and Broncos this weekend in the final preseason tilt. Sharief, we appreciate some time.
Got it, Don. See you next week.
Sharief Ishaq, WDSU down in New Orleans. Daryl May, Trusty Properties, licensed realtor, Louisiana and Mississippi. Looking for a second home, looking for a move out of the city, just trying to get out of the hustle and bustle, out of all the traffic, want life to move a little bit slower, whether that's in the Felicianas, whether that's in Point Capee, whether that's up in Mississippi. Daryl May, who's made that move up to St. Francisville, can help you with that. If you're looking for acreage, 30 acres, 300 acres, whether it's for that home, whether it's for a hunting property, whether it's for agriculture, whatever the case may be, Daryl can help you out with all of that. Give him a call. Check him out online. It's Daryl May with Trusty Properties. He's a licensed realtor at Louisiana and Mississippi. It's a name you can trust. We'll come back and close it out. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Had breakfast today with David Duvall from One Bath and Closets. David, busy guy. He's got a lot going on. Happy to help you with your bathroom and closet renovations. He was telling me about a project that he completed last week. It was a classic situation where you walk into the bathroom and you got the standing shower and you've got the big jacuzzi hot tub. This is something that David and his group at One Bath and Closets do all the time. They converted that standing shower into a linen closet. Looks great. And they took that space where the jacuzzi was, they took that tub out and put a big walk-in shower, and it completely transforms the look and functionality of that bathroom. We were talking about tub-to-shower conversion, something that I tell you all the time can be relatively cost and time effective. That process can be done within a week. If you're looking to get rid of that old tub that you don't ever use and want to go ahead and put in a new shower, less than a week. One Bath and Closets can have you done start to finish. Have that conversation with David at One Bath and Closets. Have that free consultation. He'll tell you what they can do. Got financing options available, 12 to 18 months, 0%. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find everything you want online at onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
If you missed that in the last segment, Sharief Ishaq was talking about this. Ross Jackson texted in our group. The Saints have turned this week into kind of a regular season style week as far as media access. They allow just 5 minutes of shooting and then shut the media out for the majority of practice. Whether or not that is because they're making an announcement at quarterback coming up remains to be seen. We've seen a number of NFL organizations name starting quarterbacks over the last couple of days. And the Saints may be next in that number. They may not be. My contention would be if I'm a Saint GM, if I'm the head coach, like I'm going to let them duke it out another week. Like, I don't care that much about settling the battle if it hasn't been won, right? Like, I would like more information. I'm not trying to make sure we're in the best position we can possibly be 2 weeks from now. I'm trying to make sure when we're talking about a quarterback here, we're in the best position we can be 2 years from now. And if that means we need to continue to give both guys reps, I'm good with that. We'll see what the decision is from Kellen Moore. It's uncharted waters around here in terms of deciding a quarterback. So we'll see. But there has been a change with the Saints and media availability. So maybe that brings an announcement on quarterback with it. We'll certainly be here to tell you all of it on the station and then, of course, on LouisianaSports.net as well. All right, close things out. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
I'll take it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, light on calories, full on flavor. You're talking 2.6 carbs, 95 calories, but still has all that great beer flavor. It's from the oldest brewery in America and built for Louisiana weekends. Grilling, boiling, fishing, playing golf, watching a game. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
All right, let's start it off with everybody's favorite QB battle. The Indianapolis Colts, massive QB battle, let's say that, has come to a close as the team announced that Daniel Jones has beaten out top 5 pick Anthony Richardson for the starting job. Is it over for Richardson? Take it or leave it.
His career's not over. I'll leave that. Leave it alone. But, I mean, look, here's the deal. The Colts used a top 5 pick on a quarterback that was not any good in college.
Yep.
He's big, he's fast, and he can throw the ball very far.
Yep.
He's not good at quarterback.
Nope.
He wasn't good at quarterback in Florida. He's not good at quarterback today, and neither is Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I know.
But, look, this was always going to happen when they drafted him. You drafted a guy who's not a very good player, so that's what you get when you draft that player.
I guess we can blame Cam Newton for this. So Bleacher Report did a ranking of the top offensive duos in college football this season coming up. Nussmeier and Aaron Anderson came in at 7 out of 13. And the top spot is for Arch Manning and receiver Ryan Wingo. Are they the best offensive duo in college football? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. They're just
Leave it alone.
I have to believe, and I think it's fair when I'm saying this. I'm not suggesting that Arch will be a very poor player.
Yeah.
But I feel like if his name was Arch Thompson, like none of this would be happening. I don't think. There are plenty of 5-star quarterbacks who have played spot duty and backed up another quarterback. And, like, if he was the best player in college football and the surefire number 1 overall pick and the Heisman favorite, then why did he play over Quinn Ewers last year?
Literally.
It was not like Quinn Ewers was the greatest player in Texas football history. He's a 7th-round pick. So I think Arch is going to be fine. But to continue to suggest he's the best player in the nation, I think is probably reaching a little bit.
I think it's reaching a lot. Forget a little bit. Like we saw what it looked like in the Georgia game. He looked like he didn't belong out there. So no, I'm not a fan of all this Arch Manning unless he's on the Saints next year.
There you go.
That's that. Okay, so during Sunday's night Little League Classic between the New York Mets and the Seattle Mariners. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred talked about the possibility of not just expansion, but the total overhaul of the league. So these are the expansion cities that they're tossing out there right now: Nashville, Montreal, Charlotte, Salt Lake City, Portland, and Vancouver. If you had to take any of those 2 cities and leave the rest, which would you take?
I think Nashville is going to get a team.
Okay.
And it sounds like, I don't really care about this. It's not like I'm going to go a lot to, I've been to 5 major league ballparks, I think. So it's not like but it sounds like Portland has really put its front foot forward. They've got a whole group that's fronting things. Salt Lake City's doing the same thing as well. And Vegas is always looming, and they finally got the A's. So I feel like Nashville is the obvious. Okay. And then who's next? I'll go with Portland. I think Salt Lake City's probably there too. Charlotte's interesting, but I feel like I'll go with those 2. Okay. I don't feel convicted beyond Nashville. That's coming.
Yeah. The reason why people are saying that Charlotte necessarily because that's a lot of Braves fan in Charlotte, so it's like that could be very conflicting. But I don't know. Maybe Canada.
Montreal's interesting considering they had a team, but
took them away. But that's all for take it or leave it.
The Cubs are trying to break my heart here. We've done this a couple days in a row. The Cubs get up to 4-0 lead, 5-1 lead. Now all of a sudden, look up, it's 5-3. We've got a great pitcher on the mound, and the Brewers keep getting hits. It just makes me very sad. Just win a game easy. Win one easy.
It's no fun in that.
That's it for us. You missed any on demand, catch it. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Search Hunt on LSU for your LSU content, updated with Brian Kelly's sound from today, as well as some thoughts with Glenn West, Sharief, Ishaq on the Saints. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with a Wednesday edition of Hunt Palmer. J.D. Pickell join us to talk all things college football and the latest on maybe Saints revealing the quarterback tomorrow.
The Hunt Palmer Show.